We're online again today, YouTube and Facebook. I'm really glad that I got this dual streaming thing working. I don't understand it. It doesn't always work, but we've been talking about freedom. So what does it mean to be truly free? I mean, each one of us we each have our own free will. That freedom that we have to determine the course of our life, to judge good and evil. Ironically, it comes at a cost. It comes at the price of true freedom. Instead of really living in freedom, we live in slavery to ideals, slavery bound to false idols, striving for what the world has told us is valuable, and fear of being judged, not measuring up to some standard, not having value, or being treated badly with disrespect. We're constantly fighting a war within our hearts and within our minds as to whether we should follow this path or follow that path. Just even basic decisions can be agonizing because we're not truly free. Jesus proposes a life based on attitudes that dispose us actually to have to face more fears rather than fewer fears. But the reward of following Jesus's suggested behaviors, his Beatitudes, is real, true freedom. Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, those who hunger for righteousness, the merciful. We've talked about all those in the past weeks. These are all of these attitudes that we fear might result in us somehow being compromised, being treated badly by the world around us. But if we face these attitudes that we have, that we associate, if we face the fears that we associate with these attitudes, in the light of the fact that Jesus, that God, the Creator, created me specifically, created you specifically, in this time and in place for some greater purpose, then we have that strength and we have the motivation to live those attitudes that Jesus proposes. And we find that God will shower us with blessings and with true freedom, freedom from fear. And that's where we're going, freedom from fear. Jesus challenges us also to be pure of heart. He promises that those who are pure of heart will see God. What a lofty goal. Wonderfully abstract thing to look forward to. What does it even mean? And what fears do we associate with that behavior with purity? A clue to how Jesus maybe would like us to look at purity is when he says, unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. And we have to enter heaven to see God, don't we? So let's take a look at the simplicity of a child, because our adult version of purity can be so complicated. A child, there's no malice. There's no hidden agenda, no desire for personal gain. Of course, in general, there are children who might already begin to espouse those things early in life. But for the most part, children have that most basic definition of purity. It's just beautiful to watch. When we take on an activity, we have to look at ourselves. What is our motivation? Is it childlike? Or are we trying to serve ourselves? Are we trying to make someone else happy or be selfish? When we examine our motives, then we can see how far along that spectrum of purity and pure selfishness that most of us are in the middle. How can we move closer to the purity end of that spectrum? Asking God to help is a great start, because when we ask him, he will help us, both in examining ourselves and in looking for ways to change and to move on that spectrum. As an example, my activity of this video blogging could be seen as self-serving and even narcissistic. But in the heart of hearts, in my heart of hearts, my desire is to help people who are potentially weary and are uncertain in their faith to stay true to that faith and to persevere in life, because nothing is hopeless. Everything is possible with God. And further, to find consolation and great joy in God and in the practice of our faith. And by practicing the faith and by persevering and by finding that stream of joy, to gain a deeper understanding of the readiness of God to heal us every day, to leave things in His hands, to trust Him. And that's really why these blogs are going on. So I hope that that's the primary motivator, and I hope that I'm moving towards that purity, that end of the spectrum a little bit. So when we become like children with joyful wonder and discovery, with the resilience of that youth, resisting the temptation of becoming jaded, trusting that God's plan is better than our own, and when we run to Him every day for forgiveness and for healing of our heart, then our actions will more likely be motivated by that beautiful purity of a child, by a clean heart and pure intent. And we'll find that we do see God, not just in that promise far away of heaven and eternity, but here and now, in the beauty of creation, in the complexity of the infinite variety of life, in the masterful laws, natural laws of the universe, and in the productive and beautiful relationships that we build here. We see God in one another. So let's strive to return to that childlike purity. That's the key. Those words, the kingdom of God is at hand, that they might take root in us and take on a whole new meaning for us as we live our lives in that purity that God desires for us. Have a blessed day. Be safe and be aware. And there is a song pick in the description and in the comments.